I am so hooked on Astro Bot right now, it's not even funny. This game is so good, trust me, and go get it right now. But that is not the topic of this video. Today, we're going to be talking about the PlayStation Pulse Elite gaming headset, and more specifically, the ear pads on this headset, and the new Wicked Cushion replacement pads for it. And of course, as y'all know, Wicked Cushions has multiple styles and colorways for their pads, and my gosh, that Geo Gray looks absolutely gorgeous. I need these for this headset. Now, we got a lot to talk about with these pads on the Pulse Elite. Number one being the Wicked Cushion Freeze pads, also coming in the fully pleather ones. We'll talk about all those, the sound differences and all that. But we have to start with the installation, as we all thought that these pads were permanent, that you couldn't get them off, that they were actually glued on, because when you tug on them, they do not come off, you know? So they are tough cookies, but in your pads or your package of your Wicked Cushions, you can get this little tool in there. You can see one side's got a hook, this side's flat. And these pads, let me just tell you straight up, they are tough to get off, but you can take your tool here, tuck it down in there, and then you're just gonna hear that little pop. It's gonna scare you probably, but you're gonna hear that pop. The biggest tip I wanna give you is don't let that pop back in. So you're gonna wanna come back down here to the next section, and bam, you're gonna pop that. Again, the biggest tip is do not grab it over here, because you're just gonna pop those back in and you're gonna go in a never-ending circle. Bam, pop it out, and you're good to go. So you can see it's clipping on all around there. You see this little clip in there, and then on that side right there, and you can see on the headset as well. That's where it's clipping in. And I've taken mine off probably a few times here, so mine are coming off a little easier. Your first time, they are gonna be tough. So if your tool's not working, definitely go get a butter knife. You can get in there and get a little bit more pressure. You're just gonna tuck it in and kind of just twist it off, and it'll just get a slight pop. Again, the biggest tip is don't grab it and pop it back in, or you just keep going around and around. Now that we've got our stock pad off, I want to show you a couple of things about the Wicked Cushions. Number one, they clip on exactly the same as stock. You see you got those clips inside there. Hopefully the camera can show that. See those little clips in there? And then also, if we scroll around this pad, I don't know if the camera can pick it up. Let me see if I can get some proper lighting. Bam, there you go. You can see the little R in there. So let you know which one's the right. And then over here, if we can find it on this one, bam, right there. If you can see with the light, there's an L. So it actually lets you know which pad goes on the right and the left, because as you see on this headset, you got that little angle in there. So now that we got both pads off, I want to show you the installation. So we're going to take this pad, and then let's find out which one this is. If we get that right angle again, this is going to be our left pad, and this little line on the bottom is always going to face towards the bottom of your ear cushion. You can just line up the notches, bam, 1, 2, then press right around the edges, and your new pad is installed. So I'm going to install one of the pleather ones as well, so we can talk about the differences. This is the right one. Now again, that little line on the bottom will be towards the bottom of the ear pad. Line up one notch, press it in, and you are installed. It's that easy. Now, one of the main things you're really going to notice with the stock pads compared to the Wicked Cushion, whether it be the full pleather or the Wicked Cushion's Freeze, is the density of these pads. The stock pads are incredibly soft. As you're seeing right here, you can just press it down, and that goes also into your ears whenever it sets onto your head. With this headset having kind of a light to medium clamping force, it still presses in, resulting in that driver being very close and pushed up against your ear, which does play into the sound, which we're going to talk about here shortly. But again, as you're seeing that density over here, super, super soft. Coming over to the density of the fully pleather Wicked Cushion one, it's still soft, but nothing near as soft as the stock ones. Now, don't get me saying that these are firm or anything. They're not, but again, with that pressure coming down, they're going to press there, resulting in that ear cup or that driver being a little further away from your ear. Same over here on the Freeze. When you press these down, as you see, you press it down, it's a little bit firmer, resulting in that same situation with that driver ending up being a little bit further away from your ear. So again, coming over to the stock one, I mean, you just, whew, these things are incredibly soft. So then whenever you press them down, again, that driver is right next to your ear. And this is really going to play into the sound. So again, we'll talk about that later on as well. Now, right along with the density of these ear pads, the dimensions of the ear pads are a little bit different. And I want to give you the stock dimensions first. As far as the length, let's go and take a look at this here. It's kind of hard to do this without stretching the pads a little bit, so take these measurements lightly, getting right at 60. And then as far as the width of these pads, again, trying to do this without stretching the pads to make it fair, getting right around 50, let's call it. And then if we come over to the Wicked Cushions on length, Again, without stretching here, getting right at 60. And then the width of these pads are right around 51. Let's check the freeze just to make sure, again, they are the same or any bit different. Without stretching here, make sure that play's gone. Right at 63 on the freeze. Coming over here for the width, without stretching, a little bit of play, 52 right there. Now, the biggest dimension that's going to be different is, again, as far as the cushion, which we can't get the inside dimension. You can kind of see it, but this little ring out here, that's where the plastic is, that little mount bit. So kind of deceiving, right? So when you press it down, you're really only a bit of pad. It goes and then bottoms out. Same on the wicked cushions. It goes right here and then bottoms out there. So let's try to do this. Make sure we're back to 0. And I'm going to try to measure it right where that plastic stops, right there to the top. And we're getting right about 20 on the stock pads. Again, if my measurement's fairly accurate, coming over here to the wicked cushions freeze, I'll get where that plastic stops. We're going to go a little bit bigger here. We're getting right at 24, if you can see that there. And then as far as the freeze, let me find that plastic bit, which is right here. And then to the freeze, coming down a bit, we are right at about 21. So as you can see, there are some mild differences from the stock pads, the wicked cushions freeze, and the wicked cushions all pleather. And that's going to roll us right into our next segment, talking about, do they change the sound signature of this headset? And the simple answer to that is yes, they do, but very mildly, and there's an incredibly simple fix to it. But why it changes the sound, or how it does, is again from that density like I showed you before. The stock pads, when they get on your ears, bam, they just sink in there and that driver is right up against your ear. Over here, the density is a little bit firmer, so it pulls that driver just a few millimeters away from you. And it's the same density, again, as you feel on both of these, so that distance is the exact same. Now, as far as sound isolation, as far as in and out with your noise leaving, or again, environment coming in, they all block them out just as good as the stock pads being all pleather, which again, you got over here. And then talking about the freeze, even though you got the cloth on the top, you have that gel on the inside and the top. So it blocks out any sound bleeding out or sound coming in. So sound isolation is just as good as the stock ones. But again, the simple fix, like I stated, for that sound, again, that driver being a little bit further out, so will it reduce the immersion or impact of that sound being right against your ear? Yeah, it does pull it away a little bit. So you might notice, or like a sound drop, like you might be thinking, oh man, it's getting a little bit quieter now, or I'm not getting that punch right into my ears. All you do is just crank that notch up one extra little notch and you can't tell a difference at all. But on the flip side of that, that could also be a pro for you, because that driver is not going to be touching your ear. It's not going to be pinching against your ear. It's not going to give you that fatigue. Again, it's going to pull it out a little bit more. But again, the wicked cushions, most importantly, is the comfort and definitely the freeze. Again, if you don't leave your headset next to your TV or your console, like me, I hang it over on the wall. So it's just, again, getting that room temperature. And again, whenever you go to the bathroom, grab a drink, whatever, hang it up again and it'll kind of regenerate that coolness sensation, right? Because obviously it's going to get a little warm sitting on your head, but again, it'll regenerate that whenever you take a break. If you're using a fully pleather pad, heck, even like the wicked cushions ones, they hold in that heat and they get spicy. I live in a hot, humid climate, hence the reason I do not like fully pleather pads. I love my wicked cushions freeze, and that is game changing here. It makes this headset so much more comfortable to use for long gaming sessions. I mean, it is just game changing for this headset. So all in all, as far as the new wicked cushions pads for the PlayStation Pulse Elite gaming headset, they are a complete win in my book, and I highly recommend them. They'll be staying on my headset. As far as the wicked cushions freeze ones, absolutely love them, highly recommend them. If you're interested in them, the links will be right down in the description below. And I hope I was able to answer some questions and help you out about these. If I was, please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye now.